All right, so it's Kevin Harvick in that red number 4 on the inside. Joey Logano, red and yellow, number 22 on the outside. 2 Ford Mustangs taking the green flag at Kansas. And already you see William Byron in the 24 down below the white line. That's fair here at the 1.5 miles, trying to find any track or maybe apron that he can use.
Talked about we were a little bit of surprise, and that's why right there, Joey Logano, if he could stay even with Kevin, he would have an advantage of momentum down the back straightaway. See if Kevin can fight back on the bottom. Kevin may have just been nervous about the track being dirty. You know, just picking that bottom lane was just a little bit safer.
First lap led by Joey Logano. Again, this is the first lap that they have run at Kansas Speedway. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, no practice, no qualifying, and they are already up to speed here in Kansas.
4-car of Harvick ran the middle of 1 and 2. 12 of Blaney on the bottom of 1 and 2. Looks like he's going to be able to make the pass. That top, that middle groove or the top, just not quite there yet.
Team Penske has the top 2 spots now with the 22 of Joey Logano and the 12 of Ryan Blaney. Kyle Busch, reigning series champion, has yet to win even a stage as we look back to his teammate and that 19 of Martin Truex Jr. going by the 88 of Alex Bowman.
And Martin moved to the middle of the track in 1 and 2. Entered turn 1 in the middle and made that pass there. Runs the middle again in 3 and 4.
We heard the report earlier about Martin Truex Jr. I spoke to James Small, and he's been happy with the speed of the 19 car. James is the crew chief of Martin Truex Jr. He just said, you know, their racing luck hasn't been good because they've kind of created their own bad luck. And mechanical issue at Indy got them back at the field. They wrecked coming off Pit Road. Then they run out of gas at Texas. Inexcusable to run out of gas early in the race. That's what happened to them. And you look at this season, 0 wins, you know, only 3 top 10s. So he started the year off good with that win. Hasn't seen much in the last 7 races. Parker.
Well, guys, as we watch all these cars here run on the bottom to the middle groove, knowing that this is one of the tracks you like to run up top, just remember, as you guys said, there's been no cars on this racetrack. It was completely green. This had a lot of the crew chiefs really concerned how dirty this racetrack would be, how much grip it would have. They expected the bottom to be there early, and then eventually we'll watch that rubber sort of lay in the track, and that groove will move towards the top. But it's really interesting times here watching these cars run right on the bottom, trying to find that grip.
Yes, I mean, typically on a race weekend, we have a lot of practice. It rubbers the track in. This is a completely green racetrack, so we're all seeing something new here, how these guys adapt to the racetrack.
How about Blaney? He's closed the gap now on Logano, running a little bit lower line.
Pass for third back there. Truex using that middle groove, still making speed. The 4 of Harvick just seems to be struggling a little bit right here, Kelly.
Yeah, Nasir talked about the 19 running out of fuel last week. Well, somehow that fuel switch inside the cockpit that's usually meant for the reserve fuel had gotten flipped early. So when Martin went to trip it and then come to pit road, it was already engaged, and that's why they ran out of fuel. And that's just one of the examples that crew chief James Small told me of these mistakes. They've been kind of shooting themselves in the foot with these little bits and pieces. He said the good news, we haven't repeated any of the mistakes, and Martin has been really positive because he feels the performance in that Toyota. It's just a matter of putting together a clean race with no mistakes, no misfortune.
Here comes the 13 Penske car as he goes by, almost goes by. Now he's by the 18 of Kyle Busch. That's the 2 of Brad Keselowski.
And Rick, NASCAR has informed us that around lap 25 there'll be a competition yellow. So 8 laps complete. We know a yellow is coming around lap 25, guys.
Kelly, what's going on with Joey Logano? Is he feeling comfortable out there yet?
Well, I think Dale Jr. was even observing the 22 of Joey Logano kind of moving around quite a bit, especially in turns 1 and 2. Joey's saying that as the track is rubbering up, his car's just getting looser and looser, but firing off. He said he was on the splitter and that the car was bouncing, quote, like a basketball around there. So certainly kind of had his hands full. He was able to move up top now and kind of ward off the threat of his teammate Ryan Blaney behind him. This is a team who feels like they've turned the corner in terms of performance the last couple of weeks and trying to capitalize with the win here today.
Turning the corner, Ryan Blaney does have a win, so he's in the playoffs. But you see here Brad Keselowski trying to hold off the 18 of Kyle Busch, who's closing the gap now. We saw Keselowski get by him, but it looks like Kyle Busch is trying to take back that position. Let's listen into his radio.
Just a little bit of split stall tight is what it was. Getting a little bit better here, but just showed them what to do. Now they're doing it.
Good feedback from the driver, the crew chief, kind of assessing why his car is tight. He feels it had to do with the splitter. He moved around, found a little bit more clean air. You see right here a lane lower than the 2 car. We're going to talk about this all day at Kansas. You know, there's a definite bottom, definite middle, definite top.
Yeah, that 18 car is a little bit quicker than the 2, but the 2's running the preferred line. Early in the race with the sun up, top's going to be the place to be. 18 would be, if the 2 wasn't there, the 18 would be on the wall, but he's got to run a little bit lower just to get a little bit of air on the nose to keep that car turning.
And if you want to know why restarts are so aggressive, that was why. If you could get in front of that guy, like Martin Truex Jr. right now, he's run Ryan Blaney down. And the work that he's going to have to do right now to get by him is huge. If you can get by him on a restart, that's the easiest time. That's why these restarts are going to be so aggressive as this race moves on.
We know another restart's coming up. Steve, you just referenced earlier that
Sorry.
there's a competition caution coming up on lap around 25. They're closing in on that. Martin Truex Jr. wants this position right here so he doesn't have to fight for it on that restart.
Well, I mean, one position's going to help you come to pit road. From second to first might happen. This is what got Dale excited right here. Dale, he's right on the left rear.
Look at the hands. So we saw that a lot in the Xfinity race at Texas, where the guys get on the left rear quarter panel and really move them around. And I think that's really the only offensive tool you have if you're that following car, the 19 of Truex. And I mean, the 12's already out of shape. You can see him moving around. I'm glad he's got those white gloves on so we can watch. But if the 19 gets that left rear quarter panel, I think Blaney might have to give up that spot.
All right, here comes the 19 once again. If he can get to that left rear quarter panel, he affects the air on the spoiler.
And Mr. Excitement, Tyler Reddick on the right-hand side. Dale Jr. mentioned he was already right up against the fence. He's about a half a car width off, but very high already, up to 10th. That's plus 13 from the start of the race as we see Truex has got to that quarter panel.
Yeah, I think Blaney might have to get us up. Blaney's car just looks so loose right now. And Truex is able to drive right up to that back bumper. We'll see what happens down here.
For the second spot, Martin Truex Jr. all the way to the bottom of the racetrack, and he's going to complete the pass.
Now with 6 laps left to go, does Martin have enough to run Joey down?
There you see the 18 finally getting by the 2 car of Keselowski around the outside.
You know, last week, the tires never slowed down. This week, in 23 laps, they've slowed down well over a second. So some tire fall off here this week. None last week. That's going to change strategies. Moving around the racetrack is going to be an advantage to the drivers that can find something faster as these tires wear out.
And we talked about it at the top of the show. You have to guess. The track is going to continue to change as we watch these 2 cars go into the corner. If you can believe it, the corner's already changed color a little bit. You're going to see it's darker right there. Look how much darker the pavement is than it is on the straightaway. That's just Goodyear tire rubber ground into the asphalt already in 25 laps.
Wow, Kyle right there.
I was watching Blaney, man, those gloves. He is chasing the back of that car all the way around the corner.
Kyle almost got in trouble. He lost a car on the exit of turn 4. Lost a bunch of ground. There he is. Martin Truex right on top of Joey Logano.
Can he get the lead before the competition caution? He does not. There it is. Just saw the 22 come to pit road, Steve.
Yeah, NASCAR confirmed that will be an uncontrolled tire on the 22. The 17 of Chris Buescher also had an uncontrolled tire. And I mentioned the crews. Well, remember, pre-pandemic, the road crew 10, pit crew 5. Now, currently, you only have 6 road crew. The same 5 go over the wall, Rick, and that's why I want to point out 4 less guys behind pit wall. Yeah. There are engineers, even crew chiefs, that now have to get off the pit box and take part in pit stops, throw hoses, catch tires, hand in gas cans. That support to the pit crew has been weakened by the number of guys. That tire for the 22 rolled to the pit wall and bounced off, which tells me, you know, the pit crew kind of did their job. They got it to where it needed to be. No one caught it in the end. Doesn't matter whose fault it was. It's going to hurt the 22. It's their fault. They have to control the tire.
Yeah, he was race leader when he came onto pit road. And now, obviously, with the penalty, he'll be mired into the back of the field.
Well, guys, the only other time this year that Joey Logano has had a tire violation, guess what happened? He won.
I think he won. That was
won
Phoenix,
in Phoenix.
Right?
Yeah, so
all right.
Not over.
It's Truex and Kyle Busch making up row 1, both from Joe Gibbs Racing. Truex had the opportunity. He chose that outside line, and look at the 18 of Kyle Busch surge ahead.
Yeah, that outside line just was not quite organized to push well down the front straightaway. The inside line was Blaney pushing that 18 down into turn 1 for the lead.
You're looking at the leaders. I'm fixed on that bright 21 back there in the middle. Matty D is trying to make that 3 wide work.
You got to attack on these restarts. Best opportunity to make any spots.
It's Matt DiBenedetto back there in the 21 driving for the Wood brothers.
It's a mentality. You can't just try to maintain. You got to really psych yourself up for these restarts to attack. Try to take every spot you can.
And already look how this racetrack is changing as Kevin Harvick's on the outside of Blaney. Early in the race, we saw this outside not work. Took a little while to get it cleaned off, and now immediately see Truex with a little bit of problem. Harvick's going to give him a big push down this straightaway to try to clear Blaney. Blaney hung a left, trying to make the shortest way to turn 1.
This is what I love, is this throttle. Jeff, look at this. He's going to go a little out of throttle to run the bottom, but run to the top, and 3 and 4, he sounded wide open all the way around to me.
Yeah, he's so glad that Truex went all the way to the wall to give him a little bit of air in the middle so he can stay on the outside of Blaney here with a shot to take this 3rd spot.
And Hamlin, he's up there hoping that Harvick can hold up Blaney right there, can side draft him, then Hamlin can run up behind Harvick, try to push Harvick and try to clear the 12 car on the bottom, and Alex Bowman thinking the same thing.
Blaney's going to try to slide up in there, into the top.
He went up there aggressively, left no choice for Alex Bowman.
That tells you, fans, how dominant the high side is, how hard it is to pass on the bottom. See Denny down on the bottom of this 4 car. See if he can make the pass.
And Blaney's thinking the same thing. Hold him up, Harvick. Wow, not going to be able to. Blaney's going to clear. Sorry, Hamlin's going to clear him. Now Blaney's trying to clear Harvick. Harvick's car is just not where he needs it to be right now.
That's what we saw in that first few laps as well. Harvick started up front and fell back, continued to drop back. Thought they might have made some changes on that car during that competition caution, but still, Harvick struggling.
Yeah, you can hear him out of the gas right there. Should have a lot more throttle there in the middle of the top of the racetrack with clean track in front of him. Just not able to get the gas, like he's on the splitter or something, Steve. Car just doesn't want to turn.
Yeah, it could be the splitter for sure. You know, this track, not only is it worn out, but it's not smooth. There's some bumps, you know, so it's very hard to control that front splitter. You want it as low as possible, but when it bangs off the racetrack, it takes the weight off those front tires, aggravating that tight condition.
Now this penalty that we saw, and Steve did a great job of explaining, this is what has happened. It has put Joey Logano back here in this mess. Look what he has to deal with. Compare this to what the leaders are doing. Those guys in the top 5, they're racing amongst themselves, but look at the problem that has been created for Joey Logano and how he's got to try to get through it. See right here, Kyle Busch putting the lap on Matt Kenseth. We're talking about no practice and all those situations. I think that lack of practice is the hardest on this guy right here, Matt Kenseth, trying to get his lap back.
Yeah, the next car to go a lap down is William Byron, sitting there in that battle for a playoff position. Get a lap down early in this race. It could be for a long night. Be hard to work back into that lead lap.
The fastest car on the racetrack, guys, not by a little bit, but by a lot. 3 to 4 tenths a lap is this guy right here, Tyler Reddick. On the boards, making lap time, 6 to go in stage 1. Tyler Reddick, we're going to hear from him all night.
Is it because he's been running up high pretty much the entire race? Is that why we're seeing a lot more speed out of him in a long run?
Well, he loves running on the top. Obviously, the Junior mentioned it earlier, their mile-and-a-half program at RCR is really good, and this racetrack suits Tyler Reddick's driving style. Put it right up there, and on a long run, yes, on old tires, running against the wall is really going to be an advantage.
Kurt Busch currently running in the 12th position. Want to listen into his radio.
Yeah, loose and tight off, basically, is what we have. We start off just crazy loose. That 8's probably the best car on track right now. Yeah, I think we're just, it's like it's over cambered on the right front. That's starting to jump off pretty bad, guys. Tight center out. Yeah, everyone wants to run the fence channel, same as the 8.
He's talking about over cambered, Steve. Talk to us about what that would do, why that'd make the car loose.
Well, if it has too much camber, perhaps he thinks the right front has too much grip. He turns the wheel getting in, the front darts to the bottom, the back slides out. And then if it's over cambered, then when a car loads, there's not enough tire on the ground to have the car keep turning. It's basically tipped up on edge and sliding across the racetrack. I appreciate his analysis. Now, I'd have to call Matt Paul and see if he agrees with that. It's always good for the driver to tell you which corner he thinks is the problem, but there are other ways, air pressure and things that can adjust how that camber affects the car on the racetrack.
That camber is not an adjustment you're going to make during the race.
Yeah.
You got what you got on that one.
I always like that, though, because I think it gives the crew chief an idea of exactly the feeling that he has. The camber may not be the problem, but he's giving you the understanding of exactly how the car feels using that setting. You can hear him out of the gas trying to get around the lap car.
You say that it can't be fixed or adjusted during the race. We saw Packer added at the last race. I mean, is there something that can maybe make it a little better?
Yeah, absolutely. You could crunch it. You could change the air pressure will affect the amount of tire patch riding on the racetrack. You know, less air, the tire gets squishier, the patch gets bigger. More air, the tire kind of stands up. And as you mentioned, Packer, you can change the height of the corner, and that will affect the camber a little bit, but nothing overcomes aero. Yeah. So if your splitter's right, you're not going to change the height of the car just for that, I don't think.
And as we see, Kyle Busch taking the white flag for stage number 1. This is going to be big, and I don't think we can overstate it, because Kyle Busch is the reigning Cup Series champion, and he hasn't won a race, and he hasn't won a stage. This will be the first stage win of 2020 for Kyle Busch if he stays out front here.
Yeah, Rick, if you would have asked me that line in Vegas, if it would have took midsummer to score a playoff point, it would have been a major line the other way. Yeah. Shocking it's taken Kyle Busch this long.
Kyle Busch wins stage 1 at Kansas. Teammate Denny Hamlin finishing a close second. Martin Truex Jr. also out of the Joe Gibbs Racing stable in third. Blaney, Keselowski, Reddick, Harvick, Almirola, Bowman, and Eric Jones will all earn some stage points, but only one gets a playoff point. And that's the first playoff point for Kyle Busch. Turns it off. He's going to save a little fuel. That means they don't have to put in as much when it comes to pit road. But stage 1 is complete, and it's Kyle Busch who gets the win. .56 laps to go in stage 2.
Great launch by Brad.
Interesting to see him choose the bottom there, but he pulls up in front of the 19. The 19's going to try to get that quarter panel. He's got some great help behind him.
Remember, 2 tires on that 2 car.
And that's my concern. I think for 2 tires to work, you have to keep clean air. If he loses the lead, it's going to hurt, but Denny Hamlin's going to help him.
Wow, that's surprising.
That is.
Teammate Martin Truex Jr. was on the outside, and Denny Hamlin pushed the 2.
Look at Blaney on the outside of Hamlin trying to make it 3 wide. Now he's got the preferred lane.
They race for the lead. Martin Truex Jr. edging out Keselowski as went across the stripe, but let's see if Keselowski can battle back on that inside line.
Wow, Brad arced it into turn 1 on the inside. Real tight on the 19. Was expecting him to get a little bit loose there, but hung on to it side by side for the lead.
Here comes Blaney. Look at him, he's way up the racetrack. He got 2 in 1 lap. What's he going to do? Yeah, what's he going to do? I think he's probably going to try to get to the 19.
Well, he'll have a little momentum here as these guys side draft. They slow each other down. He's going to have the run.
He goes even higher. 3 wide.
Look at it bottoming out.
Sparks. They continue to side draft for the lead. Martin Truex Jr. now edging just ahead, but once again, Keselowski side drafts, and now he comes back.
Brad's cleared him.
Man, Brad made some great work there with those 2 tires. Surprised he's able to hang on to the lead.
I did not think he would be able to hang on to the lead.
That right there, I thought Brad was going to turn it around. With a car that close to your door, as you're turning the wheel left down in the corner, entering at such high speeds, you take all the side force off your car.
Riding along with Harvick.
Harvick's car looks a little better this run. He's been struggling just a little bit. Looks like he has some more speed.
Holding on to that 5th spot right now. Kurt Busch, Eric Almirola, Kyle Busch, and Eric Jones back behind him, as well as Logano, all in the top 10.
So right here, the 24 of William Byron. We heard Marty report 2 tires on Keselowski, 2 tires on the 24. Well, this is how important restarts are. Keselowski, with that side drafting, still the leader. The 24 of Byron, he's already minus 4 spots since the restart. So 2 tires much harder to work back in traffic.
Kyle Busch going to the high side now. He's working his way around traffic.
Now that it's kind of calmed down. I say it was calmed down. Look at that block in front of the 48. These two are.
Ooh, Tyler Reddick trying to take that line, but just in front of him, it's the 38 of John Hunter Nemechek, the 23-year-old out of Mooresville, North Carolina, that doesn't want to give him the spot.
John Hunter had a big mirror down the front stretch. He used every lane available. We'll see if he blocks the 8 right here, Kelly.
Tyler Reddick sliding back just a little bit on that restart. We know how much he loves to run that high line. You see him get up right against the wall. Remember, we watched him do it in the Xfinity Series a year ago, but those were composite bodies that would really take a beating and bounce back. Well, before that competition caution, sounds like he came a little bit too friendly with the wall. Have a listen.
I don't plan on hitting the wall again, but if I do, it'd be nice to know how much more room I got left. Let's just go with the first and not hit it. It's like our car Bristol, but you know, it's fun to drive. It's good here, Randall. I like it.
So the team telling him, please don't hit the wall, but they did check for damage, and there was really none to speak of, but kind of some fun banter there between Tyler and his crew chief.
Here comes Reddick as he tries to get by that 48 of Jimmie Johnson, and now a fight for this second spot. Martin Truex Jr. has it. Ryan Blaney's trying to take it away. Really a seesaw battle right now between Joe Gibbs Racing and Team Penske.
It sure is. You really can't tell who's going to be dominant from one run to the next. Just about everybody's had a shot at leading this race for some time. Brad Keselowski up there right now. Blaney was quick. Hamlin led a lot of laps. Kyle led some laps.
You remember, Logano led laps early. He's back in 10th, but he had that tire violation, right? So he's slowly working his way back through the field.
I'll tell you one thing this tells me is the importance of pit stops and track position, right? If you're gonna pit with the lead or you're gonna pit running second, you need to keep that spot or gain spots. If you lose them on pit road, then you may never get them back on the racetrack.
You can write that down for the next, I don't know, 20 races.
You see Truex hounding the 2-car Brad Keselowski. Sort of similar to how he was trying to get around his teammate Denny Hamlin earlier. He runs a little bit lower, trying to keep a little air on the nose of that Toyota as he's following the 2, off turn 2, down the back straightaway. Brad's going to run that high side, try to make him pass him on the bottom. Man, that 19's good. To be able to run that good in the middle groove of the racetrack and maintain with a car that's running the high side. Here he is.
Yeah, he just straightened out the front straightaway to make it shorter. That puts him side by side with Keselowski. Can he clear him?
For the lead.
Easily. Golly, that 19 is good. Look at Brad. Ooh,
Yeah, he was
loose
loose
there. So right as the 19 gets almost a little bit to the left of the 2, it dumps so much nose on the right front of the front grill of that 2-car. Pins the nose and turn the car sideways.
Now, how bad of a situation is it going to be for Keselowski now that he's not out in front, not with clean air, and he only took 2 right side tires on that last pit stop?
I mean, mission accomplished, though. I mean, when you look at 45 laps to go in this stage, he might fall back to 4th or 5th. Those 2 tires are still going to gain him that track position.
Under 45 laps to go in stage 2. Martin Truex Jr. out in front. Denny Hamlin, teammate right there. And around goes the 17. And so Chris Buescher brings the caution out.
All right, you're good here.
Chris Buescher, almost a driver swap, the situation from a year ago.
4 lap down.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was driving the 17. Now Chris Buescher brought back to Roush Fenway Racing. And you see the issue there for him. He was running 25th.
Yeah, looks like he spun out off of turn 2. Let's take a look and see how that happened there. Back there in the 3rd groove.
Looks very similar to Bubba Wallace, his incident.
Yeah, following Clint Boyer right in his tracks, you know, just lost the air on the car and Around it came. It's like these cars are spinning out really quickly. Once they're getting sideways, it's almost like they can't save it. The right front tire pops there.
I'm not rooting bad luck on anyone, but it is refreshing to see these cars are so tough to, you know, we hear all the time, some people say how, oh, they're easy to drive. Well, you know, these two drivers would disagree, right, Jeff?
Yeah, this right here concerns me, Steve. All the sparks, what's getting damaged underneath that car?
Yeah.
Obviously, we've seen, we saw Bubba Wallace come on pit road, did not have that. So right now, I worry about this team and what kind of damage has happened.
Yeah, that's definitely some right front suspension. Looks like there's dragging there for sure.
Yeah, I think the concern is the sway bar arm could get drug off and come unhooked.
So interesting, you guys referenced that looked a lot like Bubba Wallace. Well, the 43 of Bubba Wallace is going to get the free pass because he was the first car scored a lap down, and so he will get back on the lead lap. That'll put 26 cars on the lead lap, and those lead lap cars are now on pit road. As we get ready for the restart, 12 laps to go. Blaney and Jimmie Johnson making up row one.
Blaney's by himself. No good push from behind. Great push on that inside. Might send the 48 out in the lead here. Now the 11 back behind the 12. Denny Hamlin's going to come in there and help Blaney on this outside line.
There'll be a lot of momentum on this outside line down the back straightaway. Look at him lined up. Big push for Blaney. Hamlin in the second.
Hamlin's going to try to get to the lead here. He's got those 4 tires. He's not going to give away this opportunity to win the stage.
Denny Hamlin wants to get things going in the right direction. After having such great success, he had 3, you would call them bad races. 28th, 12th, 20th for the 11 team, which he was so dominant, he and Kevin Harvick. Now it looks like he's getting back to the old form that we've seen in 2020 for Hamlin.
Yeah, he had a little speed earlier in the race. Led 153 laps here last year. It's an opportunity to win tonight for Denny. Look at these guys.
Mixing it up back here. That's Christopher Bell on the high side up there in the 95.
Second half of the season, I think, looks up.
Oh,
Oh my goodness, I'm not sure where the 9 was going, but that was a heck of a wiggle. I was mentioning, I think the second half, guys, is going to be better for the 95 going back to some of these tracks. I know it's his first time to Kansas, but he'll see this track again in the fall.
John Hunter Nemechek in that white car on the outside. Stayed out, just did 2 tires, trying to make it work. See a battle here. Kyle Busch going to Jimmie Johnson.
That's for 5th. And Kyle Busch will take that spot. It's side by side now as Hamlin is under fire from the 10. Eric Almirola is trying to take the spot away from him. Fight for 3rd is on, and Almirola surging on the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, we saw the 2 tires work okay for Keselowski, but none of the other players except for Blaney. He's holding the lead, but Johnson's falling back, Reddick's falling back. The 2 tires not working on those other cars.
Wow, that's a Denny almost to the fence.
Right up against the wall.
That car is just not driving real good right now. To see 10 car go by him, I know Eric runs great here, but Denny's been so fast earlier in this race, but right now not looking too good.
It's got to feel good for Eric to come back here and run good after that horrific accident where he was injured up against the wall and broke his back.
Yeah.
Denny's struggling right now, guys. Having to run that high side this early in the run on these tires. I don't think he'd prefer to do that.
His teammate Kyle Busch going to the bottom of the racetrack. You hear him feathering the throttle there a little bit, but he's going to take the spot away from Denny. Wow!
Denny looks like he's been in the fence a little bit.
Yeah, he got in the fence, had some contact. Doesn't look bad.
The crossover move by Hamlin. Does he take the spot back?
No, the damage isn't bad, but if that right rear quarter panel loses some of its flare, it's definitely going to be less grip. That air pushing on the side of the car helps these cars in the middle of the corner.
4 laps to go in stage 2, and guys, was that a little attempt at maybe a block when Blaney came down in the middle of the racetrack, almost looking like he was going to go in front of Brad?
He's just trying to not give Brad a draft down the front straightaway.
Logano has turned the fastest lap. It was on the 2nd lap of the race. How about Brad Keselowski on lap 150? Yeah, we just went by that about 7 laps ago.
Brad needs to show him something different. Blaney's picked up that Brad wants to be on the bottom in 3 and 4. Look at this run that Brad's going to get. So down the back straightaway, a lot of forward momentum. Now what's Brad going to do with it? Ryan thinks he's going to go to the bottom because he's been going there. This time Brad stays on the top. It's a good move by Brad. Not go to the bottom. Try something different.
Coming up on 2 to go. 2 to go in stage 2. And again, the chess game. Blaney trying to be in front of the 2 of Keselowski.
Brad running to the bottom. Going to try to get side by side with him. I think he's going to get there. Can he hold him? Can he get to that quarter panel, side draft him? Will he be able to carry enough speed, staying away from him, getting into 1?
He dives down into turn 3 with the momentum from the side draft. Blaney on the high side. Can Blaney stay there? He's pretty loose. Brad's going to clear.
Good racing right there by teammates.
Yeah. Blaney's car just too loose to hang on to it.
So what we're learning about tires, Steve, in the right situation, 2 can work, but they're not going to last very long.
Yeah, better be a short sprint if you want me to hold on with 2 tires. As Blaney now tries to keep it out of the fence. Oh, Denny Hamlin, you talked about how much he struggled. That's a big slide job, and Eric Almirola back there.
Sure did.
Points
going to battle back here and take that spot back.
Good stage win.
Good stage win for Brad Keselowski. Ryan Blaney was second. Almirola is hanging on for third. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch all in the top 5. Harvick, Eric Jones, Truex Jr., Jimmie Johnson, and Chase Elliott all in the top 10. Chase Elliott on the inside. Denny Hamlin on the outside. Green flag back in the air.
Pretty good organization on that outside line. Good pushing. Teammates working together. Gets Denny out front easily. 3 wide behind him. Truex going to the bottom. Oh, there's a big wreck. Huge wreck. Hard
into
hit.
the wall. Matt DiBenedetto. He gets tagged by Austin Dillon.
See ya. And something was broke.
I saw Logano in the back of the, kind of the back of the shot. His car was turning right, going to the wall. Wow.
And more bad
Johnson
luck for the
again.
48 of Jimmie Johnson.
I saw what you saw, Jeff. The first car I see wiggle and move out of line is the 22 of Logano, and then they all stack up. You see damage on the right side from the wall, but it looked like something maybe he either had broken or he lost traction, but he wiggles up, and then it chaos. Jimmie Johnson just cannot find any points. This is going to have major playoff implications.
Look at this. Matt DiBenedetto climbing out of the car. That's a great scene. He hit the wall hard.
Sure did.
See Joey Logano. He's in the lane, and all of a sudden his car is going to go to the right. Right there. He had to get off the gas. He went right because when he lifted, the 4 got into the back of him, but Joey having a problem. And that started all of this.
Clear, inside. Go outside.
And Austin Dillon,
Oh, looks like
he had a good run on the outside, and nothing he could do. That was a big hit.
it's almost like the 22 had a left front tire go flat. So looking at that before he hit the fence, the left front looks really low.
Yeah, it's like a tire went down. He had to get out of the gas or something.
Denny Hamlin launching, and Chase Elliott a little bit loose there with the help from Kyle Busch behind him.
And Chase just didn't get a good launch at all. Almost cleared entirely by the 2 cars on the outside line. Look at the 12 of Blaney trying to get to the quarter panel of Denny Hamlin. But Chase is going to be able to push that Atlanta car back out front. More wrecking.
And around goes the 95 and the 37.
Hard hit.
Into the wall.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, it's awful.
Ryan Preece in the 37.
Fantastic.
That's Ryan talking.
Glad to hear that.
Put the winning it down. Man, that's good to see.
Yeah.
That was scary. That's one of those wrecks that when you're watching it, or especially if you're Ryan Preece in that car, the angle at which you're approaching that inside wall.
It was a violent crash.
Scary.
Almost upside down. We see the 17. And look at the AMR team right there. And how about that? Frustration to climb out of the car, but still, man, what a hard hit. And glad to see him be able to climb out of that car on his own power. Such a dangerous sport, and we almost lose sight of that until something like that happens.
Let's take a little replay and see just how all this began. There's Ryan's car. Back there behind Tyler Reddick. He goes to the middle of the racetrack. Got a great run going there. Looks like a 17. Oh, no, ahead of them. The 95 gets in the wall.
Christopher Bell and Ryan Newman. Looked like Ryan Newman got into. Oh, Christopher Bell trying to get up in front of him. Then they make contact.
Oh.
Poor Ryan Preece. We talked about he's had a string of last place finishes, and wow, such a Junior and I in this booth, when he was heading to that wall, we were both cringing.
William Byron stayed out. We'll see how it works for the 24 team. Denny Hamlin getting a little help from Ryan Blaney behind him. They fan out back behind them, side by side into one.
William Byron hanging tight on that outside of Denny Hamlin. Got some help coming from Matt Kenseth. Matt trying to push him out front. Brad Keselowski to the high side, trying to get the outside of that 42 car. He's gonna have to try the inside down this front straightaway. Leader still side by side. Byron side drafted. Denny trying to get away from him.
First time William Byron's had clean air all night long. Learning how his car drives. See Blaney trying to get on the outside of the 11. 11 fills that hole.
Byron's clear.
Keselowski taking the fight to Blaney. Blaney all on his door, getting in the corner, trying to pull the air off the side of his car.
Wow. Brad cleared his teammate Blaney and got to the inside of Denny. He's almost gonna have that spot.
I'll take 2 cars.
That's impressive. 2 cars fast right now. Takes off on these new tires. That's gonna be important late in this race. What kind of short run speed you have. But William Byron out there on them old tires, man, is hanging in there. Making some good time around the bottom.
I was going to mention, Dale, remember Chad Canales isn't here this weekend. He's at home expecting his second child with wife Brooke. So Keith Rodden on the box for the 24.
Yeah, keep in mind, we've had the great opportunity to go to the War Room today, Command Center with Rich Childress Racing. Well, sure, Chad Canales can spend some time with his team back in their Command Center.
You know Chad's influence in the calls, every pit stop. But Keith's been around the sport a long time, great guy. We'll see the work that he's done over the years.
William Byron is leading this race, but if you see right here on the left-hand side, last on pit road, a lap 178. Much earlier than all the guys at 196. We know lap 196 is very close, questionably outside the window, but I'm sure everyone's going to gamble to try to make it. No chance for the 24 to try to find all those extra laps, so he'll have to come to pit road probably in the next 15 or 20 laps, and at that point, it's going to become a fuel mileage game between Keselowski, Hamlin, Truex, Jones. We heard Marty earlier say Reddick thought he was only a lap short, so that means everybody has to be pretty close.
Steve, William Byron, the way he wins this race is if a caution comes out prior to him having to come to pit road.
Absolutely. And, you know, as the leader, come to pit road, you might drag a bunch of guys, and who's to say the guys that gamble don't make it, right? So he's still the leader, even a little short on fuel. A great call to stay on the racetrack. I didn't think there was any way he could keep this track position. This just proves how much you have to try to guess a little bit on how the track's going to change. We talked about it all night. Obviously, the handling's come to the 24, and that clean air. Chad Canales at home in the War Room, communicating with Keith Rodden on the pit box. They've done a nice job getting the 24 to the front. I will say, though, Keselowski has 4 seconds back to Hamlin. We've seen Brad be a master of fuel savings. So if it runs green, I have the 2 circled as perhaps the guy that can make it.
Can you see Chad Canals back there in the war room when you had two cars hit the wall, the tires didn't come apart? He just knew that was going to be his chance to get a caution. Just didn't happen. Well, here we go.
And the caution has come out now.
Caution's out. Safe.
Oh, see the 32 smoking a little bit there. Corey LaJoie.
Great shot. See what Harvick does here. Right to the rear bumper. Going through the gears. Nice job by Harvick.
He's going to stay committed. He could have went 3 wide there. Going to stay committed to pushing that 88 car.
88 clear for the lead. Now Harvick has second. He goes to the outside. He's going to try to take the lead away. Here comes Hamlin on the inside.
Textbook move. What a move.
Kevin Harvick is so smart.
And the top 2, as far as wins go in 2020, are running 1 and 2. Harvick and Hamlin, both with 4 wins this season, trying to slug it out here in Kansas.
We should cut that video, and that could be restart, not quite 101, maybe 202. Textbook by Kevin Harvick. What a move.
That's years of experience. First time leading tonight with 21 to go. And guess what, Rick, you just said it. Another battle between Hamlin and Harvick.
And interesting, Harvick we saw fall back pretty much every restart up until the last 2. He had been dropping back after every restart. Now all of a sudden he is surging to the front, Parker.
Right, Rick, and you mentioned it. He fell back. He was not happy with that race car earlier on this race and really was starting to fade. They threw all sorts of different changes at it. And Steve, think about what we've talked about all week. How with this no practice, you have to be able to make big adjustments, huge swings in that race car to get it dialed in. And I asked Rodney Childers about that, and he said, yeah, of course. He said, you know, you can't do small little things. You've got to take big swings at it because that's the only time you have on track is in the race. It looks like it's worked for the 4.
We talked about it at the top of the show, Rick. You asked me what the challenges were going to be. We mentioned it was going to be the changes of the track. Kevin Harvick has been, I'll call it mediocre by Kevin Harvick standards all day. Ran inside the top 10, but wasn't up there leading a lap. But now is when Rodney Childers knew he needed to be his best. And then his driver, with a good race car, put an absolute display on those last 2 restarts.
I see this car moving around just a little bit in the middle of 3 and 4. It's no easy job leading these races. These cars are not comfortable. They're out of the track. Switch of hands and see what he's doing with that steering wheel. He's having to catch the back of that car. He's trying to come around on him a little bit, ever so much. Good battle for second starting to build there between Denny Hamlin and Keselowski.
Yeah, the last 2 laps, Keselowski's been the faster car. See if he can climb the hill here, get a run off the top, cross over the 11, get to the inside here.
He needs to make this pass quickly. These 2 guys are racing each other. That's going to help Kevin Harvick. So how quickly Brad can get around, if he can get around, will be huge.
Get Brad, enter high, cut that car down across the bottom and chop a little time off.
You mentioned it though, Jeff, as the 11 blocks the 2, the 4 gets smaller and smaller out the front window. He loves to see this battle.
Brad has the fastest car on the racetrack that last lap.
I'm not 100% comfortable with the 4 car. You know, we just haven't seen him out front, don't know what kind of speed he has. He's obviously leading this race comfortably now, but this, you know, we've seen these leaders get out there and get loose and their cars go away.
Hamlin was faster that lap, so the last 2 laps, Kevin Harvick's not been the fastest car. You talked about it last week, how Kevin Harvick is so good at driving his car with a little less downforce, less drag than other people. That's probably gotten better for them as it's gotten cooler. But as this run goes on, are they going to have enough grip?
Hamlin now running up against the wall. We'll see if he uses that same strategy here through 1.
Denny just barely faster that lap, running that high side.
3 of the very best going at it right here. So much fun to watch. Alex Bowman, just a little bit ago, chance to win this race, just trying to make speed, and car gets away from him. Car just does not have the grip he needs it to have.
Denny's coming.
Yes, I just said that to myself. The 11 of Denny Hamlin, it took a couple laps, but that car has come together. And it is running the 4 down here in the closing laps. 2/10 that lap, Dale.
He made his time on the top, but that corner right there, he ran the bottom. Thinking maybe Harvick might be starting to go to the top to take his line away.
Think about the disappointment in Indianapolis for Denny Hamlin, leading that guy, Kevin Harvick, in the closing laps. A right front tire, and then a couple bad runs by the 11th standard. Can he come back, redeem that Indy disappointment, pass the 4 car in the closing laps?
I heard the spotter say he thought the 4 car was too loose to run the top. He's going to have to. He's going to have to try to find a way, but he's not going. He'd have to make a big block here. He can't do it.
Yeah.
Last 4 races, Denny Hamlin, 12th or worse. Even though he has 4 wins, you're always looking for confidence. This would be a huge confidence boost for Denny Hamlin. He's back out front at Kansas. Harvick has fallen back now, running 4th. Out front, Hamlin. Keselowski trying to reel him in. Are there enough laps, though? Coming up on 7 to go. And Denny Hamlin almost into the wall coming off of 4.
The last 2 laps, Brad Keselowski has become a contender. Fast laps, Jeff, running right on the fence.
7 laps to go. Denny Hamlin, maybe a little mistake there, coming off of 4.
Let's see what Brad does. What a great race.
We're seeing great racing here. Remember, Saturday, back in action here at Kansas Speedway with the Xfinity Series.
Man, Brad's making a lot of time there through the corner.
God, that corner entry speed was so much faster than Hamlin.
Talk to me. Where's he running? The wall. He's on the wall.
Yeah. Denny Hamlin wants to know where the 2's running. The front tires on the 2 are so efficient, how he can run a lane off the wall and still turn through the middle.
But you see what he did. He got told he was running the wall, so what did he do? He went to the top. Take that air away.
Truex still the fastest car on the track, the last lap.
That right there is where Brad's fast. The entrance to 3, into the middle of 3.
5 more right here. 5.
Denny's going to have to hope to catch all the lap traffic in all the right places. Parker.
And that's what they're telling their 2 car, Dale, exactly where that lap traffic is. But also, interestingly, they're telling him where Truex is running because he's been the fastest car on the racetrack the last couple laps.
Not necessarily worried about Truex passing him, just trying to learn from Truex.
Look at Brad be able to make time, like you say, running just a little bit lower. He has to go find some clean air. He cannot run in the tracks of that 11 car. And that seems to be working.
Only 4 to go.
Denny Hamlin won here in October, the last time the Cup Series was on this track. Trying to go back to back.
It's a good corner for Denny down there in 1 and 2. This is where Brad's faster. He just mow into the turn 3 so much deeper.
He does, but he just doesn't take the momentum off the car. You know, if he could be on his bumper.
Through 1 and 2 with what you just did. He's a little better through 3 and 4.
Oh, I love the information.
3 more.
It's a mirror without having to look in your mirror, right? Information to the leader about where he's good and where he's getting beat.
And really what the deal for Hamlin right now is just don't make a mistake, right? Just, you don't have to be great right now. Be good. Don't have to be great. Even if you give up 0.2 of a second in 2 laps, you're going to be okay.
You just don't want to give up 0.2 of a second every lap for the next 3 laps because he's only ahead by 0.6.
Make him pass you, though, Rick. That's what I'd be telling Denny Hamlin right here if I'm Chris Gabehart. Buddy, this is your race. I need 3 miles. A little extra space off the wall. Don't give him the lead. Make him come get you. And I don't think you have to tell Denny Hamlin much. This guy has won a ton of races.
So many have said last year was Denny Hamlin's greatest year. He wasn't able to win the championship. Denny said that his loss at Indy earlier might have been bigger than losing the championship last year. Well, now, with 1 lap to go, Denny Hamlin in position to win his 5th race of 2020. The gap still a half a second between 1st and 2nd. Denny Hamlin's successes this year started off with another Daytona 500 win. He says one of the biggest things he wants to do this year is be able to celebrate with his crew because he knows that's who's getting him up front, giving him fast cars. They've done it again. He's done it again. Kansas winner, Denny Hamlin.
You know, I don't know we had the best car. We definitely had a top 3 car all day, but just went and got it there at the end. You know, I saw the Ford getting loose, and you know, usually when you're loose, you're not able to run up high, and that was a benefit for us to be able to get that momentum going. And pit crew did an amazing job getting us out there in front of everyone else that had 4 tires. But proud of this whole FedEx team. You know, we've had a rough 3 weeks, but you know, we're leading to Indy when we blew a tire. So I tell you, this team's really hitting on all cylinders right now.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.